But the fear of putting a child on a stimulant such as Adderall, especially a controlled substance that's facing scrutiny for its abuse as a so-called study drug on college campuses, has parents slow to take a prescription to a pharmacy. It may be out in the middle of nowhere, but that's not stopping people from finding the Onward store. They just celebrated their centennial. Children ages 3, 5, and 7, they are the victims in this case. And what Jackson police are reporting is a drive-by shooting. It happened on Camilla Drive. Ironically, Christine wasn't the biggest fan of John's stash, but for obvious reasons, and due to this wax, she's warmed up to it. Brett was already producing these hammocks, but he wanted to up the ante, so he started thinking of New Bay. To develop that, he reached out to a new funding source for the 21st century, Kickstarter. A Jackson radio station takes its audience back in the day, every day, and coming up on Business Matters, I'll introduce you to the man who's the youngest radio station owner in the state of Mississippi.
Brandon Artiles is live at UMC this morning with the very latest. Good morning, Brandon.
Thank you, Cheryl. You mentioned those 3 children that are right now being treated at University of Mississippi Medical Center. That's where I'm live. As you can see, activity still inside the hospital, as you can imagine, after a chaotic scene overnight. And children ages 3, 5, and 7, they are the victims in this case. And what Jackson police are reporting is a drive-by shooting. It happened on Camilla Drive shortly after midnight, Tuesday going into Wednesday morning. And we have seen video. Our photographer got out there again shortly after midnight as JPD investigators were there trying to connect the dots and exactly what happened. They say a gunman came through the area and opened fire. There's a lot of shell casings on the ground, just kind of indicating the chaos that was unfolding there on Camilla Drive in the 3800 block. And right now, no word on a suspect or motive, and that is part of the JPD investigation as they get their day started this morning. We're going to have more on this story and the condition of those 3 victims. From what we understand, they will survive what happened last night, but we will continue to follow this breaking story and bring you more throughout the Fox 40 Morning News Show. For right now, I'm Brandon Artiles reporting live from University of Mississippi Medical Center. To the uninitiated, it turns out the secret to a good mustache is good mustache wax. And for John Pitts, who has sported his handlebars since 1987, he has learned dependable wax is hard to come by.
I said, well, heck, I'll just make my own. So after probably 2 years of trial and error, we come up with this.
Pitts has been making Firehouse mustache wax for 7 years now. Every batch homemade and hand poured. With the help of his wife of 22 years, Christine, the veteran Madison County firefighter, has watched his facial hair care product go from the cabin kitchen to customers all over the world.
Netherlands, Italy, Japan, Canada, Great Britain, all over.
Exciting, surprising. You know, I never would have dreamed that it would be something I could do full time.
Ironically, Christine wasn't the biggest fan of John's stash, but for obvious reasons, and due to this wax, she's warmed up to it.
I've never seen him without the mustache and never was a huge fan, but, you know, now that it's, you know, my job. And
Well, she always said that she was thinking about shaving when I was asleep at night, so I don't think she's going to do that now. I think she likes the stash.
And customers like the wax. So much so, Christine says sales of these tiny tins have doubled every year since 2010, and the orders keep coming.
We started getting some Amazon retailers, and they order in large amounts.
5 such online retailers order 2,000 tins at a time. And when you include orders from barbershops and individual customers, it means Pitts has plenty of pouring to do. In Madison County, Brandon Artiles for Business Matters. By the looks of it, brothers McLeod and Peyton Norwood are not letting ADHD hold them back. They were diagnosed with the disorder about 5 years ago. At the time, news of the diagnosis was difficult for Ann Norwood to accept.
At first, you don't want to admit that there could be a problem.
The Norwoods are part of a growing statistic in Mississippi. The most recent Centers for Disease Control and Prevention National Survey of Children's Health showing ADHD cases jumping from 7.3% in 2007 to 10.9% in 2011. It's a disorder that pediatricians say can be mentally and emotionally debilitating.
It can affect the child socially, behaviorally, at home, at church, at school.
That sounds all too familiar to Norwood. Inability to focus and concentrate took a toll on her son's grades. Now on an ADHD medication called Concerta, the 10th grader and 7th grader can perform better in school.
It's funny because when they get down to the last pill in the bottle, they are very, and alert me and say, Mom, I've only got one pill left. You know, they get kind of almost like anxious.
Some would interpret that anxiety as dependency, but Dr. Buttress says that's not the case.
It's not making them chemically dependent, it's improving a neurochemical level that they don't have.
But the fear of putting a child on a stimulant such as Adderall, especially a controlled substance that's facing scrutiny for its abuse as a so-called study drug on college campuses, has parents slow to take a prescription to a pharmacy.
There are many parents who get very concerned about whether or not medication is needed.
That concern has parents seeking alternatives. Neil Stevens, director of the DOOR program in Jackson, hears it frequently.
We have a lot of clients that come to us to forego medication. We work with a lot of individuals with ADHD to improve their ability to stay focused.
The program takes a physiological approach as opposed to chemical.
Physical exercises that challenge that part of the brain that we're looking at changing and improving.
Stevens says the 12 to 18-month program's results last a lifetime, while medication only works while a patient is taking the drug. On the other hand, Buttress believes the misuse of stimulants shouldn't discourage patients that could benefit.
There are definitely individuals out there who need medication and who succeed much better on medication than without medication.
The Norwoods may be a testament to Buttress's point, but one thing that can't be overlooked in McLeod and Peyton's ability to overcome the disorder is something no doctor can prescribe.
You just take them as they come and you love them anyway. You know, that's the most important thing.
In Jackson, Brandon Artiles, 3 on your side.